Good morning. Grab some coffee. Good morning, everyone. Hi, it's Stacy, and we are Loving My Veteran, and today we are, of course, are walking in my shoes. Get a moment here and get myself together. So, good morning. Hi, this is Stacy. This is Loving My Veteran, and we are walking in my shoes. We're going to continue our series on PTSD and TBI. I'm going to change the order just a little bit because some events have happened that I think we need to talk about the caregivers first, and then we'll delve into the TBI's part of it tomorrow. Um, First of all, let me just say that as a caregiver, spouse, partner, family member, this is not always the easiest journey. And with some things that have happened, the shooting in Atlanta, the shooting in Boulder, the threats of executive orders for guns. April is coming, which was the first big attack that happened post 9/11. So our veterans are kind of in a place, and I just think that it's time we talk about us for a little bit instead of what's going on in their brain. Let's talk about what goes on in our life. Good morning, Stephanie. So again, you're going to see me just look real quick every now and then next to the other screen because I'm doing a couple of things at the same time. So let me just talk about us. um, and this is going to be an interesting analogy. We live a very lonely life. um, yes, we may or may not have children involved. Yes, we may be caring for our spouse full time. Yes, we may be working. There are a lot of things in interaction that we have with other people, but good morning, Sue. I'm glad you're watching live. But we live a very lonely life. The struggles that we go through tend to make us very lonely. Um, I'm reading this and I'm looking at this thing, and they're like, we rarely get a moment to ourselves, but we always feel like we're in solitary. And I think that that is so true. It's one of the most true statements I've ever read concerning how we feel. That we may live this life where we never have a moment to ourselves, but we just feel alone and we feel like we're in solitary and that nobody can understand our needs. Part of that problem is because we don't know how to articulate our needs like we should. Um, your daughter decided to wake up at 6 a.m. and mess up the schedule. I love you. Um, they don't see beyond the brave exterior. They don't see beyond the smile that we put on every single day. They don't see beyond the loving mom at soccer. They don't see beyond the person who's at work. They don't see beyond the smile that we put on in the grocery store when somebody says, "How are you today?" They don't see beyond that. They see that brave, tough exterior. And we don't know how to articulate, partly because we feel like we have to do it all, which is not, in fact, true. But we don't know how to articulate our needs. And we really just wish sometimes that we had this support structure that understood what we're going through. That's why I think this is such an amazing support structure, because we all kind of are in the same boat. We may be at different levels in our journey, but we're all in the same boat. You know, we aren't given a handbook day one that says, this is what's going on, this is what you have to do to learn to understand it and learn to deal with it. So, our lives, from the life that we dreamed of, I know that I can talk about Stephanie specifically. She was married to him while he was active duty. And then this happened. And so, the man that she loved when he was active duty is not the man that she's with today. So you have to almost grow through a grieving process that that person, as you once knew him, will never exist. You may get glimpses of it, you may get parts of it, but that person will never exist. For me, it's a little different. I came into this relationship and he already had PTSD, and it was already something that we had to deal with. So those are just kind of the things that we go through. The other thing I think is we have to get, and I think we've all said this, and if you say you haven't said this, your nose will grow like Pinocchio. Okay, I'm just telling you, I didn't sign up for this gig. Okay, I didn't sign up for this. And yeah, Stephanie, I mean, grieving for someone who didn't pass has got to be very, very hard. So, but I think we've all said, I didn't sign up for it. I didn't sign up for this. If I knew what it was like, I'm not sure I would have signed up for this. You know, and I think that is so true. We've all said that. So it doesn't mean you're not going to put in the hard work. It doesn't mean you're not going to stick around. It doesn't mean that you're going to walk out the door. What it means is your life is completely different than the way you envisioned it, and especially where you have to grieve someone who still lives with you, who's still physically in the present body. So, you know, we are going to enjoy those happy moments, and that's why I tell you it's so important to make that victory wall. It's so important that you hang up and you physically see your victories, because there are days that we just feel like, what the F? I didn't sign up for this. I didn't know all of this. And so I think that is a very thing. But you are entitled, please understand, you are entitled to feel this way. It is okay for you to feel overwhelmed. Okay? It is okay for you to be overwhelmed. Congratulations, 6 years this week, Sarah. I'm proud. Okay? You're allowed to feel this way. And yeah, what keeps you fighting is knowing you'd want somebody to help you through it if it was you. We all have love and we all have needs. Okay? But you're going to be scared. And I'm not talking about physically afraid. I'm talking about scared. There are days, especially with what's going on in the world today, that I wonder if my car will ever come back from that. And he has said that to me. He said, I'm afraid that I'm going to get into a place and never come back to you like that. And I think that's very, very important that we understand that. But you're going to rise above those feelings. You are the caregiver, you are their spouse, you are their stuff, but you are also very human, and you have to allow yourself to say and take that break and say, I didn't sign up for this. I'm overwhelmed. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of rough spots. I just am overwhelmed. So that feeling of I didn't sign up for this, we all have it. So don't feel like it's on you. It is something we all have, and it's something we all have to go through. I know that we have said, and I do mean this in all honesty, we have said that PTSD or TBI is their illness. Well, I'm going to tell you, it is contagious. Okay, so let me just tell you that. It is their illness. It is the family's disease, but it is contagious. Okay? We make plans and we say we're going to do something, and then we fail at those. Okay? And so, yeah, mine says that too sometimes, but it's not true. There's a big difference in 24/7 and do it. I mean, I did it for 20 years on an ambulance. Big difference in 24/7. You know, we make plans and we promise to do something, and then we just fail at it. We don't get it done. We don't get it accomplished. We don't get to this. We don't get to that. And then we wonder why we feel this way, and then we're like, we explode, right? And so as we're exploding, we're like, oh my God, now I have PTSD. No, you're stressed, okay? So when you're juggling all the things that are going on with the PTSD or the brain injury or the physical health issues, y'all, it is a wonder we get dressed in the morning. It is a wonder we can manage to get dressed in the morning. Let me tell you something, y'all. I am excited when I get out of the shower if my shirt is on right side out and not backwards. Okay, so those are my little victories for me because there's a lot going on in our lives. So it happens, okay? It is also important when you get to this point that you ask for help. And that is one of the hardest things that we will ever do is ask for help. We have to learn to ask for help. We have to learn to do that. Girl, you get excited when you get in the shower. Me too. The shower is my happy place. It's just I just let the water run and I let all of this nonsense just kind of go. Um, we don't always know how to ask for help. Okay, when you have to live this day by day and hour by hour, and it changes moment by moment, it is very hard to ask for help. Okay, there is a big difference in having somebody who is like 100% bedbound, and you know that from 9 to 10 they're going to do physical therapy, and that they have to, I used to take care of my husband's ex-husband's grandparents, that they have to eat at this time, and they have to have the medicine at this time, and they have to do that at this time, and there's no explosions in that life going on, and so everything was very regimented. It's a big difference for that and saying, hey, can you come over for an hour? He'll be asleep. Or, I need to run to the grocery store. If they're to that level. But we have to ask for help. On those days we get overwhelmed, you feel guilty calling people and saying, I just can't do this. I'm exhausted. I remember, like yesterday, I told Nakia, I sent her a text and I said, girl, my plate be full. I didn't realize what all I was doing, and my plate is full. And so we've had to kind of scale things down. Hey, Michelle. We kind of had to scale things down. Michelle and I've had a long conversation. We are probably going to put off the podcast for a while because there is so much going on. We'd rather do a few things right than do a ton of things halfway. So those are just things. You have to be able to keep a resource list, that no strings attached resource list. And, people will say, hey, can I help you? Can I do this? Can I do that for you? You can help yourself too. There is nothing that says on a good day when you're in cooking a meal, and like I know today, Carl's going to cook sauce. Yay, makes me excited. So we're going to have pasta, right? And then I'm going to make lasagna and freeze it. So on those days that we just can't because there's a lot going on, there's always something there. So you have to be able to ask for that help. It it makes you feel guilty sometimes, but you have to be able to ask for that help. Um, Even when people ask, what do you need? You have no idea what to tell them, and I don't know what I need at that moment. No, Erica, you may not know at that moment, but you might need a dinner down the road. Okay? Um, I'll have to read that book because I am so excited. I love reading books. I mean, books are like my favorite thing. So you need to, when you don't have any idea what you need at that moment, if it's dinner you might need one day, just say, hey, look, if you could fix me something I can put in the freezer, that would be great. If you've got kids, hey, can you do a play date with my kids at this time? Even if it's down the road, even if it's further down the road, it is important that you learn to do that. Okay, so you need to make sure that you ask for help. When people say it, it's got to be a no strings attached though. You can't do it where they're going to good morning, Gladys. You can't do it where there's going to be strings attached and you're going to have to repay them because you never know what your day's going to be like on that repay. Okay, so you can't do that. Where's my next one? Taking care of myself is a group effort. Y'all, I think this is one of the cutest things to think about. It is a group effort, okay? You can't just take care of yourself. It requires a group effort. And what I mean by that is there are sometimes you're going to have to say no to people. There are sometimes you're going to have to say no to your veteran. I can't do this right now. There are sometimes you're going to have to say no to your children. I want to go somewhere and have a play date. Well, that's beautiful, but not today. It is a group effort, and we tend to think we have this mindset that we have to please everybody else. You can't always live that way. Okay, it is, you can't always live that way. You have to be able to realize that taking care of yourself is super, super important, and it is a group effort at times. So it is very important that you understand this group effort answer. And it is, you've got all of these people that are going to tell you, and I know I've told you 100 times probably, y'all need to make time for yourself. You make time for yourself. Make time for yourself. And then you get overwhelmed in taking care of everything else. And Michelle and I've had this conversation. You have no idea how to articulate your needs. You tell them to me, but we just can't get them to. We can tell them to them, but they don't comprehend. It's like that wiring mismatch when what comes out of my mouth is not what goes in their ears and registers in their brain. I don't know if the rest y'all have that. But we, Michelle and I, have that. But we were talking about, giving yourself permission. You've got to be able to say not today. You have to be able to say, and Nakia has been amazing at helping me learn this, that there is a time of day that I turn my phone off and I lay down. Okay, I have to for my own health. It is hard for me to accept, but there is a time of day that I turn my phone off and I lay down. And I don't want to go lay down in the room with Carl if he's laying down. I don't want anything. I want me and the couch and whatever I have on in the background that I tend to watch 5 minutes of the episode because I don't think I'm tired. All right? You just have to stop. And yes, Sarah, I'm like you. I'm in the middle of 14 things. And let me tell you, yesterday was the best day I've had in a very long time. I actually took every single piece of paper on my desk. It is all organized. It is all filed. It is all put where it needs to be. Things that have to be done are paper clipped with a sticky note that says where they go, and it's in my day planner. Okay, I think that is a game-changing thing. The other thing when you're talking about taking care of yourself and taking care of your time, and I don't know how many of y'all have this, but I'm assuring you it is the greatest thing ever. Get your happy self a day planner. Okay? Get a day planner. I didn't realize how important my day planner was until I started using it correctly. I don't necessarily schedule my times unless there are appointments or whatever, but I do my top 5 list. This is what I need to accomplish today. If I get it done, great. If I don't, I'm letting myself have forgiveness on not getting it done. But more importantly, I jot down, and I do a lot of it at the end of the night when I'm kind of sitting there and watching TV, right? I literally sit there and I write down what I did in the day. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, and I felt like this. And that will become a great tool for you when you realize that you're overwhelmed, you're tired, you're whatever. Look at your days. Look at what you accomplished. Look at your goals. Look at what of your goals you didn't meet because you were doing everything. You know, Grace Not Perfection, great book. It's one of the best books I've ever read, by the way. But Michelle and I were talking about that with both of us having autoimmune things going on. And both of us are Virgos. Both of us are born on the same. Within 2 days of each other, we have the same personality types. Is learning to let things go. Okay? Learning to let things go. It was nothing for me every day, even after being on a truck for 14 hours. I would come home every day and run the vacuum cleaner, sweep the floors, mop the floors, clean the bathroom, and clean the kitchen every single day. Every day. I have now learned that is not important. So I do like a room a day, and I just kind of keep going through it. Or what I've really started doing, which is like so amazing for me. Um, your best friend's a Virgo and she grounds you. I don't know if I'd ground anybody because I'm kind of out there and wide open. Um, but the absolute best thing for me is not even, I don't even do the room thing anymore. I set aside 30 or 40 minutes a day to get something done. Okay. So I do that and it is working for me, but you'll find yours. But a day planner is so important. That organization where you sit in here, she's a Gemini, she needs it. Ooh, Carl's a Gemini. Whew. But we do balance each other, which is kind of cool. Um, but that day planner is critical. I mean, when you start evaluating where you can cut time out for you and what's important, like literally, y'all, if I sweep and mop the floors, I will put in there swept and mop floors. I mean, literally in there. So when I'm overwhelmed, I can go back and say, "Ooh, Stace, this is what you did. No wonder you're feeling this way." So it is important. Um, I'm not perfect, and I wish there was a manual for this. I think that that is another thing we have to allow ourselves is that grace. I am a firm believer in grace, not perfection. We are never, good morning, Sophia, we are never going to be perfect. So we have to allow ourselves this grace. And we have to allow ourselves that we're not all the same, right? We're not all the same. Shall you open your mouth and you say, "Can you please?" You see how much stuff I've done doled out to people? I got you working on 4 bases and Damon working on 4 bases and Rachel working on a toxin list. I learned how to say here. That was very difficult for me because being a Virgo, I want control over everything. Right? I want I want control over everything. That's just me. And that was a hard thing to learn that I couldn't have that control. Um, so there is not a manual for this. There is, you have to find what works for you. You have to try the very best you can, and you have to have grace, and you have to do things. And I got a message from somebody yesterday that said, hold on, let me have some more coffee because I won't function. So, ooh, 2 Geminis. That's got to be beautiful. No wonder, Sarah. No wonder. It's like having 4 of you there. Whew. Sorry, I love you, babe, but that's just it. So I got an email, a message from a spouse the other day that said, "I am my husband's trigger," and I'm like, "No, you're not. I promise you're not your husband's trigger." And I wish I knew then what I know now, because I probably could have saved my marriage. And I think, yes, will you is very true. Will you please? Because can you sometimes leads directly to a no. And you always have to be expecting that no, but if somebody says yes, it is a step up on your ladder. So just remember that. But they said, "I'm my husband's trigger." I'm like, "No, you're not. You're not your husband's trigger. Allow yourself that grace. You are not his trigger. It may be the tone, it may be the way you stand, but you are not your husband's trigger." Okay? And you have to allow yourself the grace to realize that what you've learned in the last couple of months, being part of this group and the support that we do on the page and Nikia's Ponder Points and all these amazing things, what you've learned along the way is only going to help you as you go forward. So don't ever think of yourself as a trigger. And so you have to allow yourself that grace, and you have to allow yourself to be able to be individuals, because I think that that is a very true point. Okay. Let me just put this out here because I think a lot of people misconstrue this concept that PTSD or a TBI will go away. Can I flat out tell you they will not go away? Right? Now, that does not mean that you're going to continue this exactly the way it is, because that's not what this means, but they will not go away. It's kind of like if you lose a limb, it doesn't grow back. Okay? It's not like a little lizard where their tail grows back. Brain injury is a brain injury. It will be there. The difference is one, how we respond, okay? Two, how they get their brain rewired. Okay, those are critically important. And I had the most, and we're going to really talk about this on Friday, the most amazing talk with them at Emory on their PTSD unit at Emory. Stephanie, I need to get with you on a date Wednesday or Thursday next week. We're going to do it by Zoom because of COVID, and they're going to take us on a tour. And they have, we didn't come up with this manual, but Emory's PTSD does. They bring spouses in and teach you, and they follow up, and it is an amazing program. I'm so excited. So the way we interact and the new interacting that we have with our veteran, the way we interact is our new normal. Okay? It is our new normal. And we're going to get better at it, and we're going to interact better at it. But you can't expect when you go to mom's once a year for Christmas or whatever that they're going to get what you're doing. And they're going to be like, oh, well, we miss you hanging out with us. Well, you know what? I miss you too. But this is what's best for us. So you have to understand that this is not going to go away. You have to learn to adjust. You have to learn, adjust. That's insane. It does not go away. Sarah, send me a message because that is so not true. I have every bit of proof that that is not true. Ridiculous. Now, he may be coping better, but it does not go away. So that's just something we have to face and understand. Okay. And the last one, which I love how she put it, is making lemonade from lemons is an art form. Okay? People will tell you that our lives are ruined. People will tell you that what we do sucks. People will tell you, I can't believe you stay with this. People will tell you it is rough. People will tell you this is it. People will tell you, how do you live with this 24/7? You don't live with it 24/7. Okay? Yeah. Rewiring of the brain will never heal it, and it will never be exactly the same as before. So whoever's telling you that has lost their mind. I'll give you the research. Go to Shepherd, okay, Shepherd Clinic, and look at brain injuries. That's where you need to go. So it is a challenging life. It is a challenging life that we have. So initially, before I learned all of the stuff I have learned in the past year or so, y'all, it was like I was making lemonade by just squeezing the lemons and trying to eat the rinds, and the rinds are super bitter. And that was my lemonade, okay? That was the way it was. On good days, we didn't have lemonade, but on bad days, I ate the rind days of lemonade. Now I have learned, you have to do this, and you have to do that. And things get better when you do this, and things get better when you do that. So you learn to perfect your own lemonade. And it becomes a trial and error art form. It becomes a trial and error art form. I absolutely I love lemonade to begin with, but I love Chick-fil-A's lemonade. Okay? Even their sugar-free is super good. Not everybody makes the same lemonade. So it becomes an art form, and you do it with what works best for you. And it is an art form, and it takes a lot of practice, but you're gonna get it. It is easy for us to bottle up our frustrations. That's where the vomit comes from. We bottle up our frustrations and we vomit. Okay? Richard is not ruined. Her life with Richard is not ruined. It's had its problems, darn right. It's adapting to what works and what does not. And here's the key, y'all, as we start to go through things, right? If we started to go through things, right, it would as we start to go through them and we get to a better place, we find that less and less venom gets spewed. We find that our lemonade mixture is getting good. But when you leave lemonade on the counter and don't stir it and don't perfect it, it starts to sour. And that's where we are. We get to a place and we're like, whew, we got through this. We're done now. You're never done. It is an evolution that will continue to go on. So I just wanted you to kind of hear this. The truth is this. Y'all don't realize how amazingly strong you are. We don't realize how amazingly strong we are. We know our faults. We all have them. I know that when I spew venom, we're going to have a bad moment. Okay? And where does that come from? It comes from me bottling up things inside of me because one, I don't want to add more to his plate, or two, I just don't feel like dealing with it, or three, there's a lot of stress in me personally and I don't always share that well. And then it is like I've reached my breaking point and I'm flat out gonna vomit. And I think Boone Cutler put it best. Your body can only accept so much stress. So if your stress jar is like this tall, right, and your stress level is here, when you add more stress, it's just going to spew out the top. So you have to deal with the stress that's in your stress jar. Okay? You need to look at the stress that's in your stress jar, and before you allow more to go in and it spew out of the top, you need to remove some of it. And sometimes it means just sitting back and saying stop for a minute. Do what I did yesterday. Literally, me, some binder clips, a trash can, and some file folders. My stress level went from here, rupturing out of the top, to down to here where it's manageable. And that is super important. So I want y'all to really understand that you guys are so strong and you're so amazing. And the things that come back, that we interact back and forth, are just incredible. And I'm so excited that we're all getting where we're going. We're not always on the same level. We're not always in the same place. There are times that we try and we try and we try, and it's like, selective hearing. If the VA would rate a veteran on selective hearing, they would be 100% rated. I'm just telling you that now. If the VA would be 100% on selective hearing, they'd all be at 100%. Girl, you ought to see my laundry in the drawers. I am living out of the laundry basket. The good news is every bit of the laundry in my house is clean. The bad news is it's still in baskets. I have to fold them. I still am I'm advocating for disposable clothing. That's my advocate. Wear it one time, throw it in the trash, pull another one out. That's what I want. Yeah, I mean, you can yell and you can talk and you can comprehend, and your veteran is like, ooh, like you're speaking a language that he's never heard or doesn't exist, or all that gunfire I can't hear. But if you whisper something in the kitchen, like under your breath and super quiet, it's like somebody has taken a megaphone and screams it. Okay, so they have true selective hearing. That's right. I say it all the time. So sometimes it's very hard to get our point across, but it will happen. I just wanted to spend time with you guys today telling you, yeah, they hear us, but they don't actually hear what we're trying to say. And that is a communication, articulation, working through their brain concept. It is, Carl has this thing and he tells me, you're wired, you're wound, you're wound, you're wound. I'm not wound. I work under stress. I work under stress well. It's what I do. I love it. I love it so much. That's what I do. But he couldn't do this. He couldn't work under the constant stuff that I have. Okay, girl, can I get that to go on? Because if I say shit under my breath, it is like we have turned up the volume in a megaphone that goes directly to his head. So I can't even say that because he does that. So I want y'all to understand how amazing this is, and please be aware that we're gonna go through some rough spots in the next couple weeks. Um, it's just the world as we know it. It is going to be some rough spots. There are some dates coming up across the board um, this time, and as we get into Memorial Day, that makes it a little worse because they remember their buddies. Um, April, of course, is the beginning of a battle that most of them um, tip of the spear was their first event, so that is also coming, and then the shootings tend to be really ugly. So I want y'all to understand that going forward, and it may happen. So we have a couple of options. If we need to, I can do it tomorrow. After this, we can do a special Let's Talk edition for spouses only, where we can talk about really what's going on with our veteran one individually, and where we need help and guidance. We can do that. If y'all need that, you need to let me know so I can get that out there. Um, and I don't know if how many of y'all saw this on the page, but I am going to birthdays or Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, his is too, and it makes things weird but good for him. It is just bad across the board. I am going to start doing life coaching sessions. Um, we'll do 4. There'll be one a week, half an hour. Signed up, scheduled, regular time where we're going to be able to do one-on-one. Sit down with you, your goals, your plans, your issues, and do one-on-one, and then go back and look at accountability and what is working and what is not working. His is the 24th. He's right in between me. So that I'm doing that as well. So y'all need to let me know if we need to do that special edition Let's Talk. I'm going to get off of here because I've ran my mouth way longer than I should. Lots going on as always. Don't forget we have Let's Talk tomorrow night at 7. And if you have not joined us on Let's Talk before, we're going to reconfigure part of it just a little bit. We've done this so long that it's kind of like you're sitting in the middle of an awkward conversation with a bunch of friends because a lot of us have been there every week for so long. But we're going to open up that session with, hey, do you have questions, issues, problems? And let's deal with the people who are coming in and even the current people. Let's deal with that before we get into the how it's class today kind of move. So we're going to change that format up just a little bit. All right, ladies, y'all have a blessed day. See, we're all like this big family. Y'all have a blessed day. I'm Stacy. This has been Walking My Shoes. We are loving my veteran. And again, we are not paid counselors. If you need help, seek out and get it. And everything on here is copyrighted to Loving My Veteran. Have a blessed day. Bye.